on the Barbara Walters special.
Funny business, the woman's career. The things you drop on your way up the ladder so you can move faster. You forget you'll need them again when you get back to being a woman.
Maggie the cat is alive! I'm alive! Why are you afraid of the truth?
My mom was 39 years old. She still works over at that factory. And every time I look at her, I know exactly what I don't want.
Good evening. This is Academy Award night, when the motion picture industry salutes its best. And it is here at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel that the first Academy Award dinner was held in 1929. And on this Academy Award night, we are proud to present three women who are unique, controversial, and exceptional. Three women who have done it their way. The legendary Miss Bette Davis, the legendary Miss Elizabeth Taylor, and the legend of tomorrow, Miss Debra Winger. Stay with us, or as Bette Davis once said,
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
The Barbara Walters special, brought to you by No Nonsense Fashion, where great pantyhose are designed, not hatched. And Mercury, makers of the all-new Mercury Tracer. Finally, there is one small car that treats you like a friend. From Mercury, the shape you want to be in.
Years may come and go. Here's one thing.
Mercury introduces a new friend, Tracer.
Oh, you're a friend of mine. Oh, you can depend on me over and over, and you can call me until
Only my little brother would get me out of bed at 3 a.m.
what is mine?
Tracer, complete with 68 standard features. Because the best friends are the ones that'll do anything for you.
'Cause you're a friend of mine.
Mercury, the shape you want to be in.
Silk always makes me feel sensuous. And when I wear pantyhose that glistens like silk and feels soft and smooth like silk, I feel wonderful all over.
Who makes pantyhose of such exceptional quality and beauty? No Nonsense. Yes, it's No Nonsense sheer and silky. And even sheerer dress sheer and silky.
So sheer and oh, so silky.
Elizabeth Taylor, at the age of 55, is as beautiful as we have ever seen her. She's been making movies for 46 years, and for all of those years, the world has watched. From a ravishing 9-year-old to movie queen, the loves, the tragedies, the triumphs, and the illnesses. As a loving mother and the famous other woman, we have seen her thin and glamorous, and we have seen her fat and dumpy. She is a survivor, indestructible. And somewhere in those 4 decades of making headlines, she stopped being a star and became a legend. Elizabeth Taylor has had 7 marriages, 6 husbands. First at 18 to hotel heir Nicky Hilton. It lasted 7 months. Then at 20 to British actor Michael Wilding. They had 2 sons and 4 years of marriage. She met showman producer Michael Todd, and they were married and had a daughter. But tragically, 13 months later, he was killed in a plane crash. Singer Eddie Fisher became her 4th husband, and they decided to adopt a little girl. They were married for 3 years until she met Richard Burton. And their union was called the romance of the century. They were married for 10 headline-grabbing years, then got a divorce, only to marry again. It didn't last. John Warner of Virginia became her next husband, and he made her a senator's wife. The marriage ended after 5 years. There are times when Elizabeth Taylor seems much like one of her movie characters, Maggie the cat. She indeed appears to have 9 lives. In 1983, a very overweight Elizabeth Taylor checked into the Betty Ford Clinic. She was addicted to prescription drugs and alcohol. A new Elizabeth Taylor emerged, drug-free and slimmed down. She says that it was at the Betty Ford Clinic that she found self-esteem. Elizabeth Taylor was one of the first to come out to raise money and awareness for AIDS. And wherever she goes, she's still the center of attention. She calls a press conference to announce a new perfume called Passion, and hundreds of reporters show up.
It's funny how any announcement I make turns into a marriage.
Those rumors of marriage are centered around Elizabeth Taylor and actor George Hamilton. They've been friends for years and have been on location together in old Tucson, Arizona, shooting a television movie called Poker Alice.
Only trying to protect you, Alice.
By telling me what kind of man I should like and shouldn't like?
Well, you haven't been very successful thus far with men, have you?
I visited with her during a break from shooting there. In her turn-of-the-century costume and wig, she looks incredible. She had once told me that she didn't mind being fat. But now that she is again a size 6, the truth comes out.
I didn't enjoy being fat.
Really?
No, I hated it. And I hated all the fat jokes. I probably laughed as loud or louder than anyone. But they hurt. They hurt me a lot. And there was a kind of defiance that I think made me get even fatter. Like it's my business. It's my body. I went through some photos the other day, and they're incredible. I let my hair go. I didn't bother with makeup. I obviously just didn't care. I was quite clearly unhappy. And I think a lot of it was rebellion setting in. I've worked since I was 9. And sort of been told to do this and that. And I reached a point in my life where I thought, no, damn it. If I want to be fat, I'll bloody well be fat.
Did you ever have a life where you were just a little girl?
Before I was in films in England, yeah.
For about 8 years?
Yeah.
That was the only childhood?
Mm-hmm. And really the only time when I wasn't famous.
You know, you're probably the only person, the only actress I can think of whose life can really be told through the films, because you did start so young. The film that we remember when we think of the baby Elizabeth Taylor was when you were 12 years old, and National Velvet.
Oh, well, that was like playing myself.
Have you ever been quiet for a few hours and just think?
All the time. All the time about horses. All day and every night.
I chose the horse for that. Nobody else could ride it in real life other than me. So the film was just really, I suppose that's why it's one of my favorites.
When you did a film called Cynthia, you got your first kiss in Cynthia. Do you remember?
Oh, I do remember. And I think in real life I got my own first kiss about 2 weeks before. I do remember I was in a panic that I'd be kissed on the screen before I was in real life. And that would have been such a terrible humiliation.
Who was the first kiss?
In real life?
In real life?
A friend of my brother's. It was probably a compassionate kiss.
When you were 17 to 18, you were playing a bride. Spencer Tracy was the father. The film was Father of the Bride. And you were thinking of getting married yourself at just that point, were you not?
Yes. I did marry when I was 18.
You were so young when you married Nicky Hilton. Why did you want to get married?
Well, I thought I was in love. I thought marriage was, a cottage with a white picket fence and roses climbing over it. I was unprepared for that world out there. I'd been so sheltered and protected by my family, the studio. I was no more grown up than a little animal.
You are such a good actress because the sun is going down here on location and I am freezing and you don't look as if it bothers you. Would you like something to
I'd
put
love
on?
something, yes.
Do we have a wrap that Miss Taylor could?
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
While we're going over the years, a memorable film, a very special one, I would think for you, A Place in the Sun.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's probably the most memorable because it's, I think the first time I even considered acting. Everything before had been an extension of myself. It's the first time that I think I acted in a film.
Do you remember the hardest scene for you in that?
The hardest. I suppose, saying goodbye to Monty and to keep from crying.
Goodbye, George. Seems like we always spend the best part of our time just saying goodbye.
What was Montgomery Clift in your life? What kind of a friendship was it?
Well, he was one of the most important people in my life. He was my closest friend until he died. We really loved each other in the purest, most complete sense of the word.
This is nice. I don't want to spoil it.
You better tell me.
I love you. I've loved you since the first moment I saw you.
After A Place in the Sun, another film that was, it was a giant film. It was called Giant. Rock Hudson.
Yeah.
What are your memories of Rock Hudson? You were his wife.
My memories of Rock are just memories of giggling. We had such fun together. We used to sit up and talk about everything. We had no secrets from each other, ever, all through the years. But we managed to laugh through everything.
When it was learned that Rock Hudson had AIDS, when he came back from Paris, you were the first one to see him. Was it anything that you ever, did you tell him that you knew? Did you always act as if you didn't?
No. When I went to see him in the hospital, he knew that I knew. We didn't discuss it.
Let's talk about some of the other men, if we can, that you work with. If I just give you their name, tell me what comes into your mind. Paul Newman.
I think he's one of the most dynamic, attractive, attractable, attracting, adorable, gorgeous
I think that's just enough. Marlon Brando. Reflections in a Golden Eye was a film you made with him.
I was thrilled to work with Marlon. He's a brilliant actor, an intelligent actor. He does, I think, have genius. I wish he'd lose weight.
A film that you made that I would think would have been a happy time for you because it was the beginning of a wonderful romance, was Raintree County. Montgomery Clift was your co-star. And was it at that time that you met Mike Todd?
Yes. We were wildly attracted to each other. And I went on vacation on Raintree County, and he called me every night for 6 weeks. And we got to know each other on the phone.
Elizabeth, when he was killed in that plane crash, you were supposed to have been on the plane that went down. And you were ill and didn't take that plane.
I had a temperature of 102 and I had pneumonia. And it was strange. He said goodbye to me 5 times. And we clung to each other. And it was the first time we'd ever been separated in our 13 years of marriage. 13 months.
13 months.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny that you say 13 years?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it have been wonderful if it could have been 13?
It sure would. And that was not easy to believe.
Fate has played such a part in your life. In Cleopatra, Mark Antony was supposed to have been an actor named Stephen Boyd. He had other commitments, and another actor named Richard Burton was brought in.
I want to be free of you, of wanting you, being afraid.
It's easier. Not permitted.
In the life of Richard Burton, so much has been written about it, talked about it, that I couldn't possibly even start to ask you about it, except to ask what your memories are now.
They're wonderful memories. They're warm memories. And they're my memories.
You made 11 films with Richard Burton. One of them, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, many people feel was your greatest challenge and perhaps your greatest performance. Do you feel that?
It's my favorite film.
In Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, you did an imitation of Bette Davis.
Yeah.
Do you remember it?
Yeah.
Can you do it for us? Do you remember the line?
I remember the line, yeah. What a dump.
Hey, what's that from? What a dump.
How would I know?
Oh, come on. What's it from? You know.
Martha.
What's it from, for Christ's sake?
What's what from?
I just told you. I just did it. What a dump.
Bette Davis. You know what she says? She says that more people think she says it that way because of your imitation than the way she said it in real life. Elizabeth, I cannot sit here without asking you what I'm sure everybody wants to know, and you probably know what's going to come up. Do you think of marrying again? Do you want to marry again?
I don't know. I've thought about it, but I've been single now for 5 years, which is a record. And I like it.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I really don't know. 2 years ago, I would have said, yes, I think I will, once more. I'm a real diehard. But I'm not sure anymore.
Why not? What made the difference?
Well, I haven't been terribly successful. I am different now than I was before.
Can we assume that you and George Hamilton are just very good friends, as you say you are?
Well, just very good friends sounds like it's such a cliche.
Yeah.
We enjoy each other, we have fun together, we're extremely fond of each other, and we're having a great time together.
When you hear people say, Elizabeth Taylor, now she's a legend.
That always sounds to me like an obituary. I don't feel dead yet. People have asked me why I don't write a book. Because I'm still living it. My life is still writing chapters. I'm not ready to sit and contemplate the past. I'm too busy living the present and looking forward to the future.
Who knows you better than we do? Who knows you're tired when the day is through? Who's got the taste that sets you free? Who makes it as good as it can be? Stover, that's who knows you better than we do. Stover, who knows you better than we do? She couldn't be happy with the amount of refrigerator. No, she had to get the matching range.
I didn't get it because it matched, silly. I got it because it had everything I was looking for, and it was still reasonable. And it matched.
Thank you, Amanda, for being so reasonable. First the refrigerator, now the range. Who knows? Tomorrow it could be Amanda washers and dryers.
Actually, they're coming Thursday.
When you know exactly what you want, Amanda. Tuesday.
I quit.
Just who is the boss?
Angela's ready to talk turkey.
Tell her to stuff it.
Then,
Mike's going to college!
can the kid make the grade?
What, do you guys think I'm stupid just because I'm related to you?
Growing Pains, right after Who's the Boss. It's a full hour of all new laughs. Tomorrow.
The Barbara Walters special will continue in a moment.
Dr. Ruth on Moonlighting.
David and Molly. Molly and Sam. Sam and Dave. 2.5 years of foreplay is enough already. It seems to me that if there's going to be an act of Congress, I don't mean an act of Congress. I mean, well, you know what I mean. It should happen right away. Tomorrow at 9, 8 Central.
The new Moonlighting, followed by the premiere of Max Headroom.
There's something special about any new car, and I've had a few. But I've never had one that turned me on like this Grand Am. It's more than the way it handles, the way it runs. It's, but what can I say? This Grand Am just feels real good.
We build excitement.
When you take away all the toppings, some burger places are making such a fuss about these days, it has to make you wonder, is there a reason why they aren't making a fuss about their burgers? Well, at the heart of every Hardee's quarter-pound burger, you'll find nothing but 100% pure American beef, all thick and juicy, all by itself. You see, unlike the other places, we have nothing to hide. Hardee's, we're out to win you over.
Wet weather followed by colder weather. Details tonight.
She was not glamorous or a typical Hollywood star. Instead, she was independent, strong-willed, and spunky.
I'd like to kiss you, but I just washed my hair.
Ruth Elizabeth Davis came to Hollywood with talent, ambition, and drive, and she stayed as Miss Bette Davis. In 1934, she played Mildred in Of Human Bondage. She wasn't a conventional Hollywood beauty, but she stunningly played the provocative waitress, for whom Leslie Howard becomes obsessed.
It made me sick when I had to let you kiss me. I only did it because you begged me. You hounded me. You drove me crazy. And after you kissed me, I always used to wipe my mouth. Wipe my mouth!
The movie made her a star. In an age of glamour girls, she wasn't afraid to play unglamorous roles, as in Now Voyager, when she portrayed a dowdy spinster who transforms herself into a sophisticated woman. And in a time when movie moguls wanted their female stars to be lovable, she preferred being strong and memorable.
Child, you're out of your mind. You know you can't wear red to the Olympus Ball. Can't I? I'm going to. This is 1852, Dumplin'. 1852, not the Dark Ages. Girls don't have to simp around in white just because they're not married.
Her performance as Jezebel earned her a second Academy Award in 1938. Her first Oscar had been for Dangerous 3 years earlier. And many felt she should have won her third for playing Margot Channing, the temperamental Broadway star in All About Eve. It was the quintessential Davis character, tough, vulnerable, and magnetic.
I'm nothing but a body with a voice, no mind.
What a body. What a voice.
Some thought Margot Channing was Bette Davis. On screen, she was in love with her leading man, actor Gary Merrill. And off-screen, she fell in love with Merrill and married him. It was her fourth and final marriage, but like her others, it did not last. At the age of 39, during her third marriage, she had her first child, Barbara, nicknamed Beady. She says that Beady was the love of her life. During her marriage to Gary Merrill, they adopted 2 children, Margot, who is mentally retarded and is today institutionalized, and Michael, who is now a lawyer. But Bette Davis never stopped working. Indeed, well past 50, when her career seemed over, she put on frightening makeup and starred with Joan Crawford, another Hollywood legend from the Golden Age.
You wouldn't be able to do these awful things to me if I weren't still in this chair.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
The movie, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, was a smash. Davis and Crawford pretended mutual respect and even affection. But today, Bette Davis admits that she yearned to win a then unprecedented 3rd Academy Award. However, she says, Joan Crawford viciously campaigned against her, and she lost. It hurt her, but it didn't stop her. Bette Davis is now 78 years old and has appeared in more than 80 movies during her career. 3.5 years ago, she suffered a mastectomy, a stroke, and then a broken hip. She courageously fought back with the help of her assistant, Catherine Cermak. It was at this time that she suffered perhaps her greatest blow. Her beloved and now married daughter, B.D. Hyman, wrote a shocking and unflattering memoir about her mother. They have not spoken, nor has she seen B.D.'s 2 sons since the book's publication. Several years ago, Bette Davis started writing her own book about her years in Hollywood and about her experiences as a mother and a woman. It is called This and That, and she wrote it, she says, hoping it would help others who may have to overcome, as she did, a debilitating stroke.
Nobody's ever really talked about how one can overcome a stroke. And I did. And it can be overcome.
What sustains you?
Really and truly, what sustains me is work. No question.
I want to ask you about some of the things you bring up in the book. When you first came to Hollywood, you were hardly thought of as a sex symbol in the days when being a sex symbol
No. I didn't have any more sex appeal than Slim Somerville, who was a lanky, lanky, funny comic. I heard that in an outer office from Junior Lemley one day. I must say it hurt me quite a little. And then I was known as the Little Brown Rand. I didn't care much about that. I'd been kind of attractive, I thought, when I was in the theater.
When you first came to Hollywood, did you ever have the casting couch experience that we keep hearing about?
Well, you know, which worried me very much, because I heard about how all actresses were made passes at, and then no one made any passes at me. Oh. I was chased around the dressing room once by an older actor way in the beginning. Yes, but he didn't catch me.
Ah, good. Of the films, which is your favorite? Which do you want to be remembered by?
I begged Warner to make Dark Victory, and he did, and which was a most glorious story.
I must go in now.
Anne, please understand, no one must be here. No one. So I must show him I can do it alone. Perhaps it will help him over some bad moments to remember it. Anne, be my best friend. Go now. Please.
One of the men who was in love with you in that film was Ronald Reagan.
It's 4 o'clock, sir. Last drink. 2 here, 2 there. Same thing. Yes, sir.
It's funny.
What?
Time, Alec. Did you ever think about time?
In your book, you call him Little Ronnie Reagan.
Oh, I always did call him Little Ronnie Reagan.
Why?
Well, I don't know. He wasn't a very good actor. No, just Little Ronnie Reagan. And all of us are very amazed that Mr. Reagan, I think, has done as well as he has.
I don't think there's an actress who has uttered as many memorable lines as you have.
Well, writers have given me such.
Oh, yeah, but you
lines.
said them. I mean, I can remember them. What about What a Dump?
Oh, my God, yes. What a dump. And in the film, this is all I do.
What a dump.
Did nothing with it until Mr. Albee wrote Virginia Woolf.
And then they did the impersonation of you.
And Miss Taylor did it brilliantly. And when I do my show that I tour all over the world with, I open up with What a Dump.
How do you say it?
Well, I imitate the imitators. What a dump. But I never said it that way in the beginning.
Are there any actresses acting today whom you think could do your roles, whom you kind of look at and say, oh, I see a little bit of myself there, or she could do it?
I see a lot in Debra Winger. Mm-hmm. Great deal of myself in Debra Winger. I think if she wants it, she could go a very long way. And she's also being called very, very difficult, and that's just the beginning of success. Until you're called very, very difficult in Hollywood, you're really nobody at all.
Are you difficult?
Well, I always fought for what I believed in. Mm-hmm. That means you're difficult.
In All About Eve, there are the lines that the actress in it says. Funny business, a woman's career. Remember them?
Mm-hmm.
Funny business, a woman's career. The things you drop on your way up the ladder so you can move faster. You forget you'll need them again when you get back to being a woman.
Anybody that marries 4 times in the midst of a great big career basically loves being a woman almost as much. So I never forgot I was a woman on my way up.
You're from your book, you're a terrible romantic.
Oh, yes, definitely. I really was always in love with love. No question. That may account for some bad choices I made, because I so enjoyed being in love.
Was there anyone you really loved as you look back?
I think I really loved Gary, yes.
Gary Merrill.
Yes, I do.
Tonight, Miss Margot Channing gave a performance in your cockamamie play, the like of which I have never seen before and expect rarely to see again. Unquote.
Of the men I married, yeah, I really did love Gary, I think.
You have said, you talk about it in your book, and you've said it before, I quote, sex is God's joke on human beings.
It's kind of a tricky thing. We basically just please God hope that the man we say we'll spend the rest of our lives with, one can communicate with. And as I also say in the book, communication, separate bedrooms and separate baths.
That's what makes a good marriage.
I think that gives you a chance. I think sharing one bathroom is hopeless.
No marriage can
And
make it if you share one
interestingly enough, the men take longer in the bathrooms than the women do.
You've taken a poll?
No, I haven't had that many experiences to take a poll.
I won't pursue this.
No, we won't pursue this, that's right.
In your book, you say what you always hoped to have from the song title, someone to watch over me. You never found it.
And then I say, it's no wonder. Nobody ever thought I needed it. I was always competent, earned my own way, and nobody would have ever thought I needed someone to watch over me. And I never did find it.
4 marriages. And you talk yourself about losing. Why did you lose?
If I could boil it down to one thing, I was a famous woman. That very much interfered and was very difficult for these men to take.
So many women today are having troubles balancing the career and the children. Was that a problem?
No, you see, by the time Beanie was born, I was 39. The career was made. If I had had my children when I was at the age that most women do, I would have chosen the children and not the career. Because you cannot really do well, both.
You don't think
when you're dedicated to get to the top, as I was.
Were you a good mother, do you think?
I think I was. My impression of me as a mother, yes. I think I was a good mother. My son does, too. That's a comfort that one child agrees.
Your book, This and That, is about a whole number of things. But at the end, you do talk about your daughter. You say that it was a shattering experience, that you will never get over it, that it was as bad as the stroke, this book.
Oh, definitely.
Can you understand it?
Never, of course. I haven't seen her now for 3 years. And she was the love of my life. No question about it. We had a great life together. No, I'll never get over it.
The last page of your book is a letter to your daughter. Very straight letter.
Yes, I think the letter is, well, she wrote a letter to me at the end of her book. So I decided to end mine the same way. And I think it's humorful and just right. One line in it that I'm very, very proud of. In her book, she said that she thought if she sold her book for a television special of my life, that Glenda Jackson should play me. And in my last letter, I say I do hope. I call her Hyman in my book. I do hope that if you do sell your book for My Life Story television, you will have the courtesy to ask me to play myself. I'm pleased about that remark.
If your life story were done, what would the title be?
Joe Mankiewicz told me what to put on my tombstone, so it would be a good title. She did it the hard way. Just the truth. You too. That's in all Yankees.
You have a very fast mind. If you had to describe Bette Davis in 5 words, I'll give you time. What pops into your head?
I am just too much.
Chocolate lovers, watch out for new Choco Bliss. Oh, what a sweet sensation. Oh, is this what you do to me, New Choco Bliss, a chocolatey creation. 3 layers make it so chocolatey. Moist chocolatey cake, whipped chocolatey filling to chocolatey icing so smooth. Choco Bliss, a dream come true. 1, 2, 3, I'm in ecstasy. New Choco Bliss from Hostess, watch out.
I have a secret. See how smooth my dress fits? How trim I look? How I don't jiggle? A girdle? Never. I get my control from 2 ounces of sheer power. No-nonsense control top pantyhose. What I like are those special ribs in the panty. You can see they're really working. I like my no-nonsense control top. They make me look better and feel better about me. No-nonsense control top pantyhose.
The look, the fit, the feel, that's no nonsense.
Here's important news from Stouffer's Lean Cuisine. The American Heart Association has reviewed Lean Cuisine's 14-day diet plan and found it to be in compliance with their dietary guidelines, including those for sodium, cholesterol, and fat. For free copies, write Lean Cuisine, Box 330, Cleveland, Ohio, 44107. That's Lean Cuisine, Box 330, Cleveland, 44107. Stouffer's Lean Cuisine and the American Heart Association, working together for your good health.
Out there, life can get a little crazy.
Drop it, man!
I don't believe this.
That man tried to cut my heart out with a razor.
What are you doing?
I forgot where I parked my car.
And somewhere just over the edge,
I'm gonna blow you away. Half of my psychotics are walking around under the influence of aspirin.
there's a place they call Mariah.
Gotta strip search them.
Moi?
Mariah, premiering Wednesday.
Here she is, Debra Winger. At 31, the only actress Bette Davis feels could inherit her roles. Vital statistics? No, not fat, 8 months pregnant. The unorthodox granddaughter of Orthodox Jews. A child who felt she wasn't pretty enough to be a movie star. And yet, in just 10 years of an acting career, she is a star. Be it a comedy like Legal Eagles or a mystery like Black Widow. She is on screen and off, never boring. From the younger sister of television's Wonder Woman, she erupted on the screen in Urban Cowboy as Sissy, the tough-talking, hard-drinking partner to John Travolta.
I saw you here the other night. You had a beard, right?
That's right.
Thought it looked good. You shouldn't have shaved it.
Who asked you?
Nobody.
It was her first leading role, and the part that knocked everybody out was Debra riding a mechanical bull and turning it into one of the most erotic scenes ever made. It was hard not to notice Debra Winger and not to doubt her reputation as living on the wild side. Next came An Officer and a Gentleman, the highest-grossing film of 1982. She played Richard Gere's working-class girlfriend, and even the fairy tale ending with his scooping her away from the factory life seemed credible because of her performance. She was nominated for an Academy Award, but Hollywood and the press seemed much more interested in reports of her battles with the director and dislike of her leading man. And then along came a character called Emma, in Terms of Endearment. Debra Winger's enormous range as an actress was shown as she went from Bobby Soxer to grown woman with her own children. Through it all, she was entwined with the mother, Aurora, played by Shirley MacLaine.
Oh, Mama, that's the first time I stopped hugging first.
And this time, the press was about the stormy relationship between MacLaine and Winger. They were both nominated for Academy Awards. Shirley MacLaine won. And she said that her co-star showed, quote, turbulent brilliance. It was during the making of Terms of Endearment that Debra Winger met and started dating the governor of Nebraska, Robert Kerry. He was divorced and the father of 2. She had always shielded her private life from the press, but now that became impossible. She found herself having to sneak in and out of the governor's mansion. And then last year, while most of the press was still writing that Debra Winger would soon marry Governor Kerry, she shocked everyone with the news that instead she had married actor Timothy Hutton. They had met several years before, went out on one date, and then hadn't seen each other until she emceed the Farm Aid benefit and introduced him. They were married 3 months later. It's now been a year. Debra Winger today is very married, very pregnant, and very content. In one of her rare television interviews, she spent a day with us on her favorite beach in Malibu. I found her as outspoken as expected, but also very endearing. Bette Davis said of you, she has been called very, very difficult, and that is just the beginning of success. Until you were called very, very difficult in Hollywood, you were really nobody at all.
I think that may be true because I've learned what difficult means. And being called difficult is great in a way. It keeps weak people at arm's distance. You know, if someone's afraid of difficult, they don't mess with you. And you don't have to worry about those people. It already weeds out, you know, a lot of people that you don't want to work with anyway.
What do people mean? What do directors or producers mean when they say you're difficult?
You're pretty much going to get a mind with the body, you know. It's not much of a body these days. But when someone is called difficult, it usually means that they're hardworking. And granted, make some errors in judgment. But I don't see that as a fault. I'm not afraid of being called difficult anymore.
Urban Cowboy. Was that a good experience for you?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I was spoiled. I mean, I came out of the pen thinking they'd all be like that. Yeah. And it was magical. I mean, I lived it. I breathed it. I ate it. I was there.
Okay, riding the bull.
It started out as a competition, fast riding, and I'm trying to make my husband jealous. And it kind of developed into this thing that I did not feel sexual when I was doing it. I felt that it was, really I was showing off. And I remember when some of the reviews came out, I stayed in my house. I mean, I was just, they mortified me.
When you were doing Urban Cowboy, did you spend every night at the bar?
Oh, yeah, Gillies was great. Yeah. Well, that was especially wonderful because nobody knew who I was, so I got a job there. I mean, I was at that place all the time. And it was my introduction to mezcal. Have you ever drank mezcal? Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff. They say it's like tequila, but it's hallucinogenic. It's supposed to be hallucinogenic. I'm tough, Jim. And I'm a tough broad. I'll drink that stuff. And I can do the scene. And I drank a couple bottles, and I don't remember shooting the scene, but the word has it. We shot the scene, and the moment that they said, cut, that's a wrap, I didn't even bend my knees completely, and they, struck the set around me, and we went.
Said, what a performance.
Yeah,
what a gifted actress.
What a gifted actress.
You do like to live your roles, my dear.
Yeah, you have to be careful when you take them.
Officer and a Gentleman, the film that I guess made you a star.
It's not so easy for a girl.
There's still no excuse. You're not going out getting what you want. Just go get it.
And who says I'm not going after what I want?
It was a film that was enormously successful. But it was a hard film for you to do, wasn't it?
You never expect to work with people who are insensitive,
But what did they do that wasn't nice?
Well, it's just a disrespect. So it's just a lack of respect. In that case, it was mixed with some chauvinism. It was just very, very rough.
Did you ever feel close to Richard Gere?
No.
No, you never really got through?
No.
How do you play love scenes with someone when you don't, I mean, I remember the scenes in that film.
So do I.
Yeah. What do you do when you don't feel anything?
Well, in that case, it was very difficult. I just chose not to hide how upset I was. And a strange thing happened in that emotion that was actually upset ended up looking like I was involved in the scene, you know? It ended up looking like I was brimming with emotion, which I was.
But there was not that emotion. As we go on, terms of endearment, you work with Shirley MacLaine in terms of endearment, and you've been quite frank about how you felt about it. You said you felt as if she had flesh under her fingernails.
Well, I felt that there was a competition that was uncalled for. But that can happen with someone your own age, someone older than you, someone younger than you. So I don't know where it came from because I didn't feel it, you know. I certainly admire a lot of her qualities, and I don't mean to, we just didn't get along very well.
I just don't want to fight anymore.
What do you mean? When do we fight?
When do we fight? You amaze me. I always think of us as fighting.
That's just from your end. That's because you're never satisfied with me.
She talks about the experience and says it was a bad experience. I don't think it was a bad experience. It was rough.
You were both nominated for Academy Awards. She won as Best Actress. You didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Two people can't win. Well, I guess you can, but did. How did you feel about it?
Well, it's probably a cliche by now, but I know it to be true for myself deeply, that the nomination is the thing.
When Shirley MacLaine described your turbulent brilliance, was that okay with you?
You know, I don't remember the brilliant part. Maybe that's my problem.
Of all of the films, which was the one that was the hardest for you to walk away from? Which was the one that just got to you the most?
Well, at the time, Urban Cowboy was the hardest to walk away from and drop because I've never done it before. On that scale, I wasn't prepared for it to be over. I thought, well, it was my family. It became my life. We shot 9 months, you know, I mean, from beginning to... I was in a terrible state when it was over. I had no sense of myself. And I moved into a hotel, and Pete, my dog, slept in the bathtub because it was just a little room with a bed. And I had a very rough year. There are still those films. Terms was certainly hard to shake.
Terms of endearment.
Because that intensity, I crave that intensity.
When you were a kid, were you a very emotional kid?
Yes. Yes. I had a very, you know, potent emotional life.
Did your parents understand you?
No, I think they, you know, when I was real young, they called me Sarah Heartburn. I think I was a pain in the neck.
What we're not used to is your honesty and that intensity. On camera and off, we're all so protective. We're not used to everything that you give off.
The way that you feel about that is probably a lot the way my parents felt. And my mother was just, you know, sometimes it was, you know, lighten up. Well, you know, why, if I just ask you this, just tell, you know, say fine.
Yeah.
I ask you how you feel, say fine. I mean, you know, what's the big thing? But I don't, you know, I don't see it that way.
At one point, in 1973, you were in a terrible accident.
I fell out of the back of a truck under my head.
And had a concussion.
I had a cerebral hemorrhage.
Okay. And what was the result of that?
I was in the hospital for a very long time and was paralyzed temporarily and lost my eyesight for a while.
What did it do to you?
It changed my entire life.
How?
Well, first of all, I said that I wasn't going to spend a day doing anything I didn't want to do. I was told that acting was a hobby. You know, you don't get paid for that. So I was doing it on the side and, you know, working at the police department and sociology major. I just stopped everything. It seemed ludicrous. It could, you know, it's gone like that, this life. And I was so much more fulfilled.
After you had this experience, and when you decided that your life was going to be acting, along with that part of it, along with the acting, came this reputation of being wild, I don't know, fun-loving, drinking, you know.
Don't I seem like a blast?
Yeah, I mean, you know, where did that all go? Here I sit with this woman who's 8 months pregnant. But, you know, how much of that was it? How much was exaggeration? What were you?
I can't cry. I mean, I can't complain that, you know, I'm misunderstood and unappreciated for what I really am. So it's true. I don't deny any of it. I lived a somewhat wild lifestyle. I think more importantly, I talked about it. Not in a gossipy sense, but I didn't deny anything. If someone said, well, did you do that? I said, well, yeah, I'm not proud of it.
If I said drinking, you'd say, yeah. Drugs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it fun?
No.
Why'd you do it?
I guess it seemed like fun then, but mostly I think for me, I was just testing all the boundaries, you know? And there wasn't a lot of happiness where I was. So I was always looking for where the happiness was. Where is it? As if it was somewhere else.
What were you rebelling against, you know?
It's almost mischievous. I wanted to make trouble for myself. And I did. And I don't put it all in the past.
Why don't you put it in the past?
Well, because I don't have a harsh judgment on things that I've done. In other words, I don't think of myself as a bad person, and I don't feel I have to reform. And yeah, so you know, I think I'm moving on.
How long did it take you when you met Timothy Hutton before you looked at him?
I knew that. I fell in love with him the moment I saw him.
Really?
And then didn't see him for a long time.
You met, and then there was a time period when you didn't, and then you met again.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And you decided right away to get married?
Yes.
How could you be so sure?
Because there was no question. What were we going to hang out to find out? Everything was there. Every feeling was there. So it didn't make sense not to.
When you fall in love, it must be absolutely enormous.
It's pretty big. Feels big. Feels overwhelming sometimes. And it's very, you know, the commitment is enormous. And the emotional life that goes with that commitment. But it's great.
With all of the emotion you feel, all the intensity you have, what was the day you got married like?
It's like a fairy tale. Yeah. It was spooky. It was so happy. You know, cramps in your cheeks, and you cry, and you feel everything at once.
You are happy now, aren't you?
Yeah, and I'm not scared of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not scared of being happy.
Do you have any regrets? Anything that you wish you hadn't done?
No regrets. Those will kill you. Those things. If I start to feel I should have done something different, I change how I'm looking at it, because something is wrong with the way I'm looking at it, not what I've done. Because everything I've done has got me here, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
So how could anything have been wrong? Some of it seems treacherous, like it might have been an easier way.
Yeah.
But no regrets.
Now you have a choice. You can live here or move to No Nonsense Light Support. You'll love it. I was in a test with other regular sheer energy users. More of us with a preference preferred No Nonsense Light Support. It invigorates and it's comfortable. It's specially tapered from toe to waist for even support all over without binding. And your legs look great. So come on.
Move to No Nonsense Light Support. The look, the fit, the feel. That's no nonsense. Who knows you better than we do? Who knows you're tired when the day is through? Who's got the taste that sets you free? Who makes it as good as it can be? Stokers, that's who knows you better than we do? Stokers, who knows you better than we do?
Mercury Sable's got the shape everybody wants to be in. And now that shape is even more affordable with 3.9 APR financing or $400 cash back. There's 3.9 plus up to $600 cash back on Mercury Topaz, Lynx, and Mercure XR4 Ti. Factory-to-dealer incentives may mean big savings on 6-cylinder Cougars, too. Save now at your Lincoln Mercury Mercour dealer.
Alice, the house is surrounded by cows.
Cows get very upset when you eat Chex brand cereals without milk.
Lock the doors.
Chex brand cereals were meant to go with milk. Those little spaces hold just enough to bring the true grain taste out, while keeping the hearty crisp in.
Look, milk. So don't eat Chex without the milk. And that goes double for double Chex.
For Best Picture, Platoon. Hannah and her sisters. Children of a Lesser God. A Room with a View. And The Mission. For Best Memories, Oscar night next. The Barbara Walters Special, brought to you by Ralston Purina Company, makers of Purina pet foods and all the other fine products of Checkerboard Square. And Stouffer's, for quality, variety, convenience, and great taste. Look for Stouffer's Lean Cuisine and Stouffer's Entrees.
They are something, aren't they, these women? They're what the magic of motion pictures is all about. Thank you for being with us. And may the show go on.
Anyone who offers you cocaine is no friend. Say no. Don't do drugs.
Who will get Baby M? The landmark decision, its impact on surrogate motherhood, and reaction from around the country. Tomorrow on ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening, I'm Rick Wagner. On 27 News tonight, after the Oscars, federal authorities begin hearings into a fatal Amtrak crash that claims 16 lives near Baltimore. On tonight's Money Beat, George Richards tells us about a drop in the value of the dollar in Japan and a drop in the price of stocks on Wall Street. And we'll have a report on some high school students who want the history books to say more about the achievements of blacks in this country. Now this.
Back when Aunt Millie began making spaghetti sauce, she insisted on only fresh, natural ingredients.
A good old-fashioned sauce. Taste.
Aunt Millie's had a good old-fashioned taste then. It has a good old-fashioned taste now.
Also tonight, the Hoosiers take on the Orangemen in the NCAA basketball championship. Syracuse grad Greg Mace puts his biases aside and tells you how the best team won. And the month of March goes out with a roar. Weatherman Chuck Rhodes has the forecast. Join us after the Academy Awards for 27 News tonight.
Every spring, people strive for a beautiful lawn the same old way, with products that treat every lawn the same and can give you the same old frustrating results. Because lawns are different, ChemLawn has over 800 programs. We select the one right for your lawn and change it as your lawn's needs change. That's why we can guarantee to make it beautiful. ChemLawn, making America beautiful, one lawn at a time.
Easy street, no complications, no aggravations. Give me that street called Easy Street. Dolphin makes banking easy for me.
Nissan's March sales marathon deals are so good that we've got to work day and night just to keep up. Just look. Nissan's got factory incentives on all family cars, like the 5-Speed Sentra, already over $800 less than a comparable Ford Escort. And they're giving great deals on high-performance sports cars, like the new open-air Pulsar for over $2,000 less than a Mustang convertible. But you better hurry in now because everything ends April 2nd. Get to the March Sales Marathon now at your Central Pennsylvania Nissan dealer.
Watch the Oprah Winfrey Show weekdays at 4 on WHTM.